And we're all, we're in this amphitheater outside. It's just like Delphi. And it's cement, and there's a stage up there, and there are dignitaries all over the place. We're all waiting for the Dalai Lama. Suddenly he comes around the corner. Someone's got him under the arm. And he had to go up a little riser, I think 3 or 4 steps. And he steps up to the microphone and he starts speaking in Chinese. Oh. And I look at my friend that I'm with, and everyone, all of a sudden there's this dead silence in the stadium, right? Like, oh my God, are we gonna, none of it, we have to speak Chinese. And then he suddenly laughs. Ha ha ha, fooled you, didn't I? So, vamos a empezar ahorita. Vamos a estudiar este libro y empezamos ahorita con assumption space. ¿Verdad? What's the first assumption?
Your word.
Be impeccable with your word. Be impeccable with your word. And the second assumption is?
Don't take it for granted.
Personal. The second of these, don't take 4 agreements. I'm so sorry, assumptions. First agreement is be impeccable with your word. Say what you mean, don't be mean saying it. Tell the truth. The second thing is
Don't take it personally.
don't take it personally. Whenever, if and when someone says something that would ordinarily hurt or go against your grain, our grain, my grain, your grain, it's not about us, it's about them. And the third one today is don't make assumptions. Don't make assumptions. Okay, so having said that, close your eyes for a moment. You out there, good morning, you out there, out in the ethers. Close your eyes, y'all, and take some deep breaths and come fully present here. As you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. So deep inhale. Exhale through your mouth, let it all go. One more time. In through your nose, deep breath. Out through your mouth. And with your eyes still closed, we'll say a prayer. Spirit, most amazing and awesome. Spirit vibrating in every cell and atom of our being. Spirit of life, love, wisdom, understanding. Spirit of strength and order. Spirit of release and claiming. Spirit of enthusiasm. We rest now in all of the blessings that you are in each of us. Assuring that we are open and receptive to your spirit, guiding and leading us in this time so that we receive the maximum blessings, we hear what we need to hear, say what needs to be said, so that we can go into the rest of our week and do what needs to be done to live in peace and joy. We speak this word into the allness of your presence, knowing that it returns to each of us and all of us in its fullness. And we all say amen. Amen. Thank you. Glasses out. We just came on board. From the revealing word is Unity's dictionary of terms. And if you're curious, right, as the crow flies from me, are Unity books. Come on in. And so from the revealing word, which is a dictionary of terms, I'm going to share this definition of divine love. Come on up here, Maria. Divine love. So there's human love and there's divine love. Human love, human love tends to make what?
Babies.
What does it make?
Babies.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And so does spiritual love, but on a different level. It tends to be conditional. Yeah, human love can be very conditional. I'll love you if you love me back, and if you don't love me the way I want to be loved.
Bye.
So, given that we in Unity have, well, I didn't, but Charles Fillmore and its ancient wisdom discerned 12 creative energies that express the divine, express divine energy. There's always been a belief across faith traditions that the divine expresses as energy. And so we have in Unity 12 ways that we say spirit can express. Love is one of them. It's a creative energy. And so this is what Fillmore said about divine love, the frequency of divine love. When we have spiritualized that power that's in us. I mean, we all are capable of loving, right? We know that because we've done it. When we spiritualize that frequency, that creative energy, it expresses in higher ways, like forgiveness, for example, like compassion in the face of suffering, like unconditional love. So here's one of the things that he says in the Revealing Word. Love is the great harmonizer and oh, bless you.
It's allergies. Okay, go ahead, sorry.
No, love is the great harmonizer and healer. Divine love will bring your own to you, adjust all misunderstandings, and make your life and affairs healthy, happy, harmonious, and free. So, in the spirit of that power, close your eyes again. And take your mind into your heart, metaphysically speaking. So just be fully aware and present to your heart. You know, it's expansion and then contraction. Expansion as you fill it, fill your lungs. Imagine the heart expanding. And that we say is the center of divine love. And we say that the vibration of divine love is pink. So imagine a pink light there in your heart. And breathe that pink light through every part of your being. So in your mind's eye, if you can, as you inhale and breathe that pink light through your body, imagine that your body, or see yourself filled with pink light. Just see it. And we don't need to tell any of the divine expressions like love. We don't need to tell it what to do.
Go do it.
Push in the back,
It knows what to do.
in the back.
So just sit for a moment with this vision held in your mind of your whole being filled with pink light. The great healer and harmonizer, the attracting power. Which is why Joseph Campbell said, follow your bliss, follow your bliss. So love can put us in a state of joy, and I mean, maximized, it can be bliss. So follow your bliss, follow what you love, follow what impassions your heart. So take another deep breath, and when you're ready, open your eyes. There's Cleo giving Kathy kisses. Yeah, gotta get the glasses on. Any comments about that? Out there, you all who just became pink lights? Any comments in here? No? You know, my experience is, whoops. There we go. Everything is made of light and the space between isn't empty. Everything that exists is one living being, and that light is the messenger of light. From our book, actually. So you and I are made of light. And the space in here is not empty. It's filled with information. Information that we've taken in and made our own, that we've digested and metabolized. But we can, because we have the power to do it, we can shift all of the information in here through prayer, meditation, affirmation, and understanding. So I'm doing a little review here, okay? So our belief system is like a book of law. Whatever is in the book is our truth. So I just wanted to review again what impeccable is. It's a big word, huh? It's a big word. It means flawless and faultless, unblemished, spotless, stainless, tarnished. So that's fairly requiring to be impeccable with our word. You know, no secondary motivations, no something's behind what I'm saying right here, but I can't say it, so I'm going to say this. So impeccable. Remember, did you hear this from your parents? Say something nice or don't say anything at all. Your word is your power to create. And we talked, or the book talks a little bit about black magic and some terms that fit into that chalice called black magic as gossip, blame, or judgment. The one thing that is very challenging to stay away from, right? Stay away from gossip, stay away from blaming, and stay away from judgment being false judgment. We have the power of judgment, which is understanding judgment. And then judging is making something or someone wrong in some way. And I was noticing it. I challenge all of us to notice when you go back into your day and week, how quickly our mind tends to judge. I mean, instantaneously. Where attention goes, energy flows, and the results show. True, right?
Yes.
Right.
Wherever we put our attention, we're putting our creative energy. I'm sorry?
I experienced that today. I went for.
Your name is?
Maria. I'm Maria.
Hi.
Hi. And I went for they sent me for a neurology test on my arm. And it had to do with needles. And boy, did it put me through the test.
Because?
It was painful, so I finally realized, look, you just have to concentrate on what's going on and just try not to let it take over. But it was tough.
So what did you shift your energy to? Instead of putting your focus on the pain?
I started praying and just I tried to relax my body. Because that's the only way that I could have not felt the pain. Even though I knew it was there, it was like I was telling my head, all right, it's there, but just don't feel it, let it go. But once he pulled that needle out, oh my goodness. And then I have to really fight with that too, because it was painful.
So
And
I want to pause right there.
Uh-huh.
Pause right there. What do you have to do with it?
I had to let it go and let it.
You use the word fight.
Well, I fought it.
Yes. I'm going to just invite you to reframe that.
Okay,
because fight is a resistant word. Can
okay,
you see that?
yeah.
Okay.
So I tried to resist the pain, and then I said a prayer, and I just kind of relaxed my body. As I was driving, I felt it even stronger, but eventually it just subsided. And even coming here, I was trying not to think about it. The
Yeah.
worst thing to do is think about the pain because it just keeps coming. So I had to let it go.
Perfect
I'm feeling
example.
better now.
Perfect example. Perfect example of where energy, where attention goes, energy flows. Thank you for that example. Okay, I'm gonna move quickly here. Don't take things personally. Chris, would you like to say
That
something?
is a tough one.
It is, huh?
I do. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
First I do, and then I can back off
Yeah.
if I remember to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, it is a tough, they're all tough, all four of
Yeah,
them
they
are tough
are.
ones.
Mhm.
Anybody out there in the gallery want to say anything? No? Okay, moving on.
Mhm.
So this is a good one to just read again. Laura, you want to read that for us?
Sure. Don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you are immune to the opinions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering.
And yet, you know, at the same time, what comes to me now is if someone says something that hurts my feelings, I want to look and see, do I believe is there something in me that believes it already? And they're just holding a mirror up for me? Mitote, he talked about internal coherence, where our thoughts and our feelings are not coherent. I may be thinking one thing and feeling another. Okay, so you take things personally because you agree with whatever is said. As soon as you agree, the poison goes through you and you are trapped in the dream of hell. Well, that's pretty clear, isn't it? Any comments there before we move on? Yes, Betty? Unmute.
Yes, when I was in my nursing profession, I worked in labor and delivery, and I was monitoring a woman in labor, and the baby's heart rate started to go down, and I did everything that I was supposed to do to help resolve that, and it still wasn't coming back, so I called the doctor to come in. Well, of course, it takes him a while to get there, and by the time he got there, everything was fine, and he walked into the room and looked at the monitor, and he says, that baby is fine. I don't know what's wrong with this nurse. I don't know what's wrong with the nurses around here. They get so nervous about everything. And he was blabbing away, you know? So we left the room together. I didn't say anything at that time in front of the patient, but when we left the room, I know that I'm a good nurse. And I said to him about how long do you want me to wait for that heart rate and so forth. And to make the story shorter, I said, you know, what happened now is that you've destroyed that woman's confidence in me to monitor her for the rest of the labor. And it hasn't helped anything. And, you know, other comments to that I pointed out what he did, because as I said, I knew that I was doing the right thing. So that was one case where I was proud of myself that I didn't get angry, that I didn't go around to the other nurses and say, do you know what that SOB said?
Right.
And I
Which
just
is a pretty normal tendency.
up and I just settled it and got it out of my system then. But it was, he treated me with great respect after that, by the way.
I bet he did. I bet he did.
Yeah.
Well, it takes great courage to have a conversation
To
like
bring
that.
it up with him, it was, I'm sure, hard.
And I mean, it's happened to all of us where if we did something like Betty did, it took courage. We had to get over whatever fear we had of, okay, what would be the result if I said what's on my mind now, said what's true for me. Congratulations. What you think of me is none of my business, Terry Cole Whitaker. Oh yeah, we did that one. Don't take things personally and take things personally. Is God trying to tell me something here? Is the question I ask myself when I'm in my right frame of mind, that is. So don't take things personally. Like I had, this is going back a long time, but it was pivotal for me. I had someone that I was bringing to church on Sunday morning, and she had come into town and she was staying with me. And I had known her for a little bit. She worked at another church. So I had her sleeping on what are those couches that open up? Sofa bed. In my living room. And I stayed in my bedroom. And the next day after Sunday, she said to me, you know, you're not a very good friend. Ouch.
Oh, yeah.
Ouch. And she said, I'm your guest here. Why didn't you give me your bed, your room? And, well, I mean, she made a point, right?
Wow.
Because I didn't have a second bedroom to put her in, so she's out on my couch, right? And it hurt my feelings a lot, but it was a wake-up call for me. I had to take it personally, like, is there something in this for me? Yes, it came from her. She wanted, you know, she had her expectations, right? I want to be in a nice bedroom. But I had my responsibility too as a friend. See what I'm saying? Yeah. So yes, it is about them. And okay, is there something in this for me that would help me expand? So people have their own opinions based on their belief system. I think we did this, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So now we're at the third agreement, don't make assumptions. Now, I want to pause and see, are there any comments or questions between the opening and where we are right now? I guess a good question too would be, just reflect for a moment on your week. Have you noticed any shifts in yourself as a result of considering these agreements, these two agreements, impeccability and not taking things personally? Have you noticed anything? Nope. Okay then.
Reverend Sharon,
Yeah,
Very-
Betty.
some of us are the age that we are, and we read this book a long time ago, so hopefully we learned to do a lot of this stuff then, but this is a very good review. But when nobody's responding to you, I didn't want you to think that we were ignoring it. It's that we've absorbed it, and this is so good to hear it again, because it's, you know, it's reassuring. That's all.
Good. Thank you for that.
Or in my case, I failed a couple of times, but I can't think of any times where I did good, but it's still in there, but I didn't really need to share my failures today. So.
I hope you all heard Denise. You know, she was sharing that it wasn't a failure. What was it?
Well,
What can we call it? Not a failure.
I let things get to me when
Yeah, she let things get to her this week.
mhm.
Well,
It takes practice.
we got to remember we're still human beings. But it's catching it that makes all the difference in the world.
Mhm.
Yes, Jerry.
Yeah, well, I know since coming to the class last week, it dawned on me that I'd read this book a long time ago. And I went through it fairly well, I guess, but I didn't really go into it and work with it as much as I could have. And now I'm going back and revisiting it. And I found myself pulling it out a couple of times last week and rereading parts of it.
Oh, great.
And really realizing, you know, I should really sit down and work with this book so I understand the damn thing. I tend to read stuff and say, got it, when I don't got it.
Yeah.
But I tend to tell myself that I do got it, you know.
Thank you. That was great. Did you all hear Jerry? You know, that he pulled it out and really got into it again and got it.
What I actually have done is I have trouble sleeping sometimes, so I like quiet, either music or meditation type things I'll just put it on my phone. This book is on YouTube, so this is really nice to listen to really at a low volume, just
Oh,
I
what a
might not
great
have caught
idea.
everything, but I caught some of it and then just dozed into sleep.
Well, and your subconscious
My
mind. caught it.
subconscious probably caught some.
Yeah, what a great idea. Did you all hear what Denise said? She has the book on YouTube and she listens to it at night sometimes, low volume. Good idea, great
I got the
idea.
CDs, and it's great to
It's
listen to.
soothing, it's just, yeah. The person who I'm listening to, God, she's got the most, I mean, it is a voice that can lull you to sleep. It's a woman who just does a really good job.
Great idea. Okay, can we start over there with Maria and just come around until each one of you, if you would read aloud so our folks online can hear, the bullet items. So Maria, would you do the first one for us?
Sure. Assumptions are not necessarily the truth.
True. And sometimes they are, right? Discernment is so important. So can you think of a time when an assumption is useful?
Well, it could be protection, you know, I mean, I use sometimes, I would think assumption is also common sense. I mean, if you're out driving and, you know, it starts to rain, you could assume that there might be a problem. You know, so I mean, sometimes it leads you into not necessarily bad things, but good things, or how to take, you know, it's an insight to me, I think sometimes. If you assume, it doesn't always mean that it's, we think of it as not being correct, but a lot of times it is correct because the assumption was correct, so.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
There are times when assumptions are essential to get to the bottom of something,
Right.
to protect. Useful,
Yeah,
useful,
I think so.
essential. It depends on the kind of assumption we're making, right? Based on what kind of facts. So we make probably wise assumptions or smart assumptions if we have a logical buildup of facts and we're walking into something similar. Okay, this could happen again. This could happen again.
That could be considered like an intuition. Sometimes if I'm walking somewhere where I don't feel safe, I would get that feeling. And assumption, intuition to me would be more or less the same thing. Or if I feel threatened, I won't go that way. I'll find another path. And I've always been that way.
So you assume that if you go that way, it's going to be troublesome.
Right.
Gotcha.
I'll go another way.
Gotcha. Okay, anything else on that one? Assumptions are not necessarily.
I learned
I have
that. I was working for Ross Perot when he was gonna run. I wanted to see a third
Oh,
party.
really?
And I realized that it wasn't gonna work for me, because when I got with a group of people, they all assumed that everything that came from up above, you know, about Ross Perot was all the truth, you know. And I started thinking, you know, he can't, you know, a lot that he says I like, but that doesn't mean it's the truth, you know. I need to do my own research on some of this stuff. And I just realized I wasn't gonna fit in as a volunteer in that very well, so. Now I don't belong to political parties, I stay an independent, you know, it's better for me.
Thank you. Good example. Good example. Anyone online?
Yeah, I just want to build a little bit on what Maria said. This is Kathy. Because what is the, you know, a gut feeling? This is something that I've been taught is a good thing, to listen to your gut, to go with the with your instincts, and assumption kind of blends into that. So I guess my question is, assumptions can be good. I mean, if we're going with gut feeling, but we just have to check them and really think it through. Is that the best practice?
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure. Do you have an example of that, Kat?
Well, Maria had one, just not feeling right about somebody coming to the door. Do I want to open the door to this person? just not feeling right about it. And so is that just a gut feeling, or is that an assumption that the person would do something wrong?
Well, I think that's for each of us to consider. You know, it depends on our experience. It depends on any filters we have in our mind, like filters that I've adopted, that it's like putting a shade over a window. You can see some outlines out there, but you're not seeing it clearly, so you can't say exactly what it is accurately. So we all have mind filters. Sometimes I think about blind spots too. I think we all, depending on our experience in life and what we have come to believe as a result of our experiences, we all have, at least I do, I'll speak for myself. I have discovered blind spots. I didn't know what I didn't know. And lots of times I have to learn it the hard way. So when Kathy says assumptions, kind of like intuition, a hunch, a gut feeling, yeah, I mean, you got to go with that if it feels right. If it's not, if it hasn't got a filter on it that prevents accuracy or coherence. Make sense? Okay, Chris, can you read the next one? Oh, go ahead.
Wait. Could I say something?
No, I was gonna,
Maria's gonna say something, and then who was that, Susie?
Yes.
Hang on, Susie.
this is a good one. In 2001, was it 2001? 9/11. My friend and I, we used to meet together at the World Trade Center. I'm from New York City. So we used to meet on certain days for breakfast. Now, that morning I got up, ready to go. She couldn't make it, so we never met. The reason why we couldn't make it was because her son delayed her. Now, I got up that morning and I felt a little different about something that was about to happen, but I didn't know what. And when she called, I said, oh, that's okay. Let's just leave it for another day, or we'll do it tomorrow. I get to the office. I took a different route. Did not take the train like I normally do. I took a bus. Got to the office. One of our account officers comes running out and he says, a plane hit the World Trade Center. So we all ran to his office because you could see it from his corner office. You could see the World Trade, and got hit by one plane. So we thought it was just a small Cessna plane, you know, and it hit, missed it or something. Then we're sitting there and we see the second plane come. It was chaos after that.
Yeah.
What I'm getting to is sometimes our lives bring on certain things that we have no control of, but there's always that little energy there that protects us. And this is what I think intuition, assumptions, they all fall into place at that time. I didn't know back then, but as time went by, I always think about that day. And it was something.
And what does it do today? What's the result of that experience today for you? What have you learned?
For me, it was a God-given day for me to just see my life in a whole different aspect. And I always looked at my life differently now, ever since that day. And I always tell her every time that we speak, I says, you know, that we were blessed.
Yes.
Not to be there like we normally would have been, because I wouldn't be here talking about it.
So I want to push a little further here.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, all of us to consider this now. So as a result, as you reflect on her son delayed her, because she was delayed, she called you and said, I can't meet today.
Right.
You felt guided to take a bus, not the train.
Correct.
What would you call that?
Divine plan.
Divine intervention.
Divine intervention.
That's right.
Divine intervention. And so think about this, when you can see that something divine and blessed is going on here, what does that do to your faith?
It makes it stronger.
Yeah, it builds faith, doesn't it, to pause and reflect
Mhm.
on those synchronous events. What we've all experienced, right?
So, yeah, and
The
on the
joy,
other hand, it could have been a coincidence. But somebody doesn't want to say that. It could have just fell out that way, you know. I don't know if there was such a thing as divine end. But it does, it feels good to think that to me.
it feels good to think that, it might be a
true.
correct assumption and it might not.
Yeah.
I like to think that,
That was divine intervention for me.
I like to
That's
think
the way I look at it.
that it was more than just a haphazard coincidence, because it helps me trust.
Mhm.
If I live from fear, the result isn't as good or not close to being good as when I live from faith. So anything that builds my faith, I want to be reflecting on or aware of. Susie.
Yes.
Thank you, Jerry.
So how do you differentiate, you know, the saying, what you fear will come upon you, or just go ahead and go with your gut?
Well, can you think of an example?
No. Well, like if you, okay, so say somebody comes to the door and you might feel, don't open it, but then you have the fear, well, I shouldn't open the door anyway. I mean, I don't know.
So give me the question again. So,
The saying, what you fear will come upon you.
yeah,
So how do you differentiate that from going with your gut? And I don't know. I mean,
well,
shouldn't fear anything. I don't know.
there might be different premises around each one. I mean, let's just try this. One is an apple and one is an orange, okay? The apple is my feelings, it's biblical too. What I have feared has come upon me. I can't remember who said that now. It was Elisha or I don't know, one of those prophets in the Old Testament said, what I have feared has come upon me. Our feelings become attractors because our feelings are energy. And our energy is an attracting, or repelling or attracting. You know, have you ever been around an angry person?
Mhm.
You want to get out of their space, don't you?
Mhm.
So our feelings attract or repel. That's an apple. Our gut feelings tend more to come up, well, could come from our intuitive function of consciousness. Our
Right.
gut feelings, if it's an accurate gut feeling, is a protective mechanism, right?
Yeah.
Something, it's a guidance, it's a guiding light, let's say, our gut feeling. So both are true. It's like a pair, both are true. Our feelings are attractors. What I feel, I attract to me. What I think and feel, I attract to me. If you think one thing and feel another, you're not going to be much of an attractor. You know what I'm saying? If I'm thinking love, or if I'm thinking I want this person to like me, but in my heart I'm scared, or there's something I'm judging them about, they're not going to like me because they're going to feel incoherent energy. Are you with me so far, Susie?
Yeah.
So, but our feelings are, at the bottom line is our feelings are attractors, period. And our gut feelings are protectors. Both are true. So I guess what I want to say is we have to be aware of what we're feeling because we know it's going to attract or repel. And we have to pay attention to our gut feelings And, I mean, use our wisdom and understanding to decide, is this really helpful or not? Did that help at all?
Yeah, a bit. I gotta work on it. Thank you.
Well, say more, Where's the wondering? Susie,
Words being wonders.
what are you wondering now? You
Oh,
said it helped a little bit. Where's the dissonance?
I've just gotta go with an instance and pay attention to the difference. You know, when I
Have you
come
ever
up,
had a feeling that was not helpful to you?
say that, well, yeah, what you said was helpful. Yeah, because I'm gonna,
No. Have you ever had a feeling that wasn't helpful to you? Have you ever been angry or afraid?
oh, of course, yeah.
Husband is not.
And Howard's is yeah. Okay. So what did that attract? When you were afraid, what did that do? Did
Makes
it
me,
help you make a good decision?
no, it makes me vulnerable too. So good decision. No, if I'm really afraid, well, sometimes I make a good decision in retrospect.
Okay. So sometimes feelings are helpful and they're guidance, right?
Mhm.
They attract or repel.
This is Howard. Can I make a comment?
It better be a good one.
I did that last year. I don't think I have any left for this year. But to me, what you're describing are tools. I mean, nature has given us these tools of self-preservation. You know, we're not supposed to judge. But in driving, I had found in Arizona, I have to drive defensively much more so than I've had in other places. And so I'm constantly judging the traffic coming towards me and what are they going to do? Just because there's a car coming towards me with no turn signals doesn't mean they're going straight. You know, so I'm making assumptions constantly. Now, I believe that those tools are given to us for our own self-preservation. We should use them. That doesn't mean that every car coming towards me is stupid and gonna turn in front of me. But I've got to take that, call it a gut feel if you want, and wait to see some indication that they're going to turn or they're going to go straight before I commit myself and we end up into an accident. And it saved me time after time again. I watched people sitting at green lights down looking at their iPad or their cell phone or whatever, and the light changes green. Well, it didn't change green. It was the green arrow to go left, and they go straight through the intersection. Everybody slamming on their brakes because, you know, I made the assumption that's what they were going to do, and I didn't get in an accident. So I've got to use those tools, but I can't let those tools rule my life, or like you say, what you think about is what you're going to create.
Yeah. So there, I guess I want to maybe put a period here to say that, you know, there is a distinction between fear and wisdom when we're making decisions and taking action. So gut feelings can be accurate or not. Feelings are just feelings. They are what they are. Who knows what they arise from, but they are what they are. So I think gut feelings, you know, we say gut feelings, but lots of times that a more accurate term would be intuitive hunch. My intuition is guiding me.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's more helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
May I make a comment on this?
Please.
I think there's a difference between judgment and evaluating. And so what Howard was saying is when he sat there looking to see whether this guy was going to go or not, he was looking for indications of what was going to happen. He was evaluating the situation. he was not looking at the driver and depending on the color or whatever of the driver and saying, I wonder what this jerk is going to do. That would be judgment. So we do have to evaluate. When I'm on the highway too, I'm evaluating the cars around me. But I think it's good. We have to evaluate, but we shouldn't consider it that it's wrong to do it when it's, as he said, it's a tool in order to protect us.
Thank you. So what power do you think an evaluation can be accurate or not accurate, right? Depending upon what information it's coming from.
Right, there you go, the story.
But if the evaluation is accurate discernment, what spiritual power do you suppose that comes from? What spiritual power or powers? Would have to be, let me put it this way, would have to be developed in order to evaluate accurately.
Wisdom?
Wisdom, yes. What else?
This is Eileen. I think that for myself, through the years, especially more recently, I have a sense of my inner knowing. I listen to that constantly. And the more that I do, the more I reinforce whether it's just an assumption or it's my inner God-given message that something is right or not. And when you say gut feeling, we're literally talking, is your stomach feeling okay? Or are you feeling sick to your stomach about it? Because when everything is good and right, you have that feeling that things are right. You're not sick to your stomach. You have like a joy or a feeling of elation when you know that things are right. So I constantly go with that. And when I do, and it turns out the way I know that it should be, then I'm not questioning, because I constantly use that in my life every day for the decisions I make.
Okay, good. So are we ready to go on to the other bullet points?
We only made it through one so far.
Chris, would you read the second one?
Sure. Most of us haven't developed the skill of mind reading.
Oh, yeah. Most? Jesus could, but.
And it's a skill that is very disappointing. You think you got it, you know? And then it doesn't work out like you thought.
Brilliant.
Some people do have a little better level though of like intuition to look at a person and say, you just look like something's bothering you today. Or, I mean, sometimes I can do that. But,
And how would you know if you're accurate?
you have to ask.
Ask rather than read their mind, right?
Yeah.
But how many of you have ever tried to read or have noticed that you are reading minds? It seems like it would be so helpful. Because then I would know what to do. Yeah, but most of us haven't. Next one, Joy.
Making assumptions is a survival technique.
Yeah, it is. And we wouldn't be where we are today as human beings in the history of the universe if we didn't make assumptions. If I'm a Neanderthal and I see a lion coming at me, and I've seen other instances where lions eat people, then I'm going to make the assumption that it's not going to lick my hand if it's coming after me. Okay, can we move on? Linda.
Okay, making assumptions gives us false security that we are in control.
Yeah. And of course, no one wants to be in control, right? Okay, and the last one?
That kind of,
It leads us to taking things personally,
Yes,
and that's true. That's what
yeah. Making
Assumptions.
assumptions leads us to taking things personally.
May
Betty?
I- Betty, yes. Um, uh, This can be damaging. Where do I want to start? I have a son-in-law who was upset because he was going to go on a day trip with his son. And then the son-in-law canceled it that day and wanted to make it for another day. And the son didn't want to do that. I'm trying to make this shorter and I'm messing it up. At any rate, the son-in-law was then talking to me and he was angry that the son wasn't adapting to his schedule. And he said, it's probably about his girlfriend. Now everything is all about his girlfriend. He's probably right now driving that girlfriend where he was going to take me. So that was an assumption. And I'm saying, Charlie, you're imagining things and giving yourself all this grief and you don't even know that anything is happening. So I'm looking for answers on how to help him to realize that he can't be assuming all these negative things, because now he's mad at the son. He made some remark about the girlfriend. Now the son is mad at him, and they keep throwing darts at each other, all about things that aren't true. So.
And thank you. That's a great example.
Good example.
And it's an example. I was just talking, who was I talking to? Someone yesterday. And we were talking about what's true individually is true corporately. What's true in the microcosm is true in the macrocosm. So can you see how that happens between nations?
Mhm.
You say something and I make an assumption about what you're thinking, and based on that assumption, what you're going to do. And I react to that. Let's say, rather than asking questions. So, yeah, assumptions lead to world wars and lead to ruined relationships, broken relationships. Okay, this is out of the book. Jerry, would you read this one for us? Can you see it okay?
Yeah, I can see it. We literally dream things up in our imaginations because we don't understand something and don't ask questions. We make an assumption about the meaning. If we don't ask questions, that's the problem there.
Yeah. He says this too. Hans, what does this say?
Making assumptions in our relationships is really asking for problems.
It really is, isn't it?
I gotta send my son-in-law this book right away.
Yep. Any comments out there, you guys? Okay. Suzanne, would you
Okay.
read this one?
We have to be what we are. If you love me the way I am, okay, take me. But if you don't love me the way I am, okay, goodbye.
Yeah,
Remedy, ask questions, make things clear, and don't make assumptions.
I wrote the remedy part, but this is right out of the book. You know, if you don't love me, okay, bye-bye. We have to be what we are. So, anything about asking questions to make things clear?
Well, sometimes I think there's a fear to ask questions.
Say more.
Yeah, the person you're asking the question to, perhaps will not enjoy your question.
That's a nice way of putting it.
Or you might not, you might get the answer that is not conducive to what you want to happen.
Yeah.
But you have to be brave and you have to speak your mind, because otherwise things will go awry very fast if you're making assumptions, especially about somebody you love or care about.
Yeah.
And if you're not clear, and you give off a vibe, you're angry about something, but you don't say anything, but you're angry. Well, then that person catches that energy and they say, well, what's the matter with her or him? And then it all, like you say, snowballs to the point where sometimes you get beyond, if you don't get counseling, you get beyond having any kind of relationship at all.
Yeah.
And it's very sad.
Very sad, yes. Yes. Thank you. Any other comments about this? That whole idea of relationships and reactiveness rather than responsiveness?
I think holding grudges with people.
Say that again.
Holding grudges.
Holding grudges.
Yeah, there's a result of, assuming.
It is, isn't it?
Mhm.
And not asking questions. Yeah, and there are times, as Suzanne said, based on our experience, we know we may have had experience enough to say, if I ask this question,
It's not gonna be good.
it's not going to be good. Yeah. Anyone out there watching? Now, I haven't heard from Jody today. I haven't heard from a few of you.
Jody had to leave. She had an appointment she had to be to, so she was leaving early today.
Okay. Haven't heard from Nancy or Alva or Jim, Levon, Sig, Arlene. Any of you, any comments, any experience, strength, and hope you'd like to share with us? Hans, you have some experience, strength, and hope.
Yes, I go back, I'm going back to the first agreement with being impeccable with your word, and an example in the book described a girl who was called ugly at a very young age. And I've been thinking about that poor kid ever since, because she accepted it.
Yeah.
And it ruined the rest of her life.
Yeah.
And that happens.
Happen.
And
Sure
that's
does.
very sad.
It sure does.
And I'm watching my tongue.
Yes. Thank you. It's a great reminder about the power of words.
Yeah.
A white musician uses the word for creation, giving, sharing, and loving. By making this one agreement, that is, don't make assumptions, by making this one agreement a habit, your whole life will be completely transformed. Wow. That's pretty big.
It's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah. Now there's our hope.
Okay, that is positive.
Yeah. Use the word for creation, giving, sharing, and loving. We can say a lot of things when we're in a state of love, can't we?
What's that got
Rather
to do
than
with
anger or
white magician?
Somebody said something.
Anybody out there want to comment? Jim? Was that you?
Yeah,
Hi, Jim.
what's that got to do with a white magician?
Oh, it's just what our friend Don Miguel Ruiz calls or makes a distinction about black magicians and white magicians. It's like the good witch and the bad witch, Jim. It's about, like the good witch who helped.
So it's all in context then.
Pardon?
It's all in context.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else, Jim? You don't want to say anything about assumptions? No?
You know what they make, of course, asses out of you and me.
Well, that's telling it like it is, Jim. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, so we have three agreements right now. Can you think of a time, for the sake of everyone deepening our experience of this particular agreement, when you made an assumption that got you into trouble? No?
There has to be.
No one's
some.
confessing?
Just can't find
I
it.
like to forget those.
Well,
my first marriage, I would last for a lifetime, and it didn't last a year.
Say that again, Kath?
My first marriage, I assumed would last a lifetime, and it didn't last a year.
Well, that was a little off. And what happened, Kath?
I learned who he really was.
And you learned who you were.
And I learned who I was. You're right. That's a good catch. Yeah.
We learn what works for us and what doesn't, and we have to be truthful with ourselves about that. Yeah? Maybe someone else could live with this, but not me. So there's acceptance in all of this too, isn't there? I'm thinking. What do you think about that? Acceptance. Okay, well, look at, you guys been kind of quiet
We aren't
today.
that talkative, are we?
Is that because I'm talking too much?
No,
An assumption.
Okay, no one else?
This is Eileen. I was gonna say, as far as relationships go, you know, you get a little thought in your head of something you want to do, and you assume that your partner might want to do the same thing. And so you kind of make plans in your head that you're gonna do something without even asking them, is that something you are willing to do or want to do? And so then, you know, it could become something that you feel bad about because you didn't even include the other person in what you thought was something you're gonna do.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, kind of on the line of what she's saying, meeting somebody and getting to know them a little bit and assuming you really know them well. And I've done that more. I don't know, it's kind of like what she's saying about assuming your partner's gonna want to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
It just seemed natural to me. I guess I've got a high opinion of myself, or whatever I want to do is the be all and end all answer.
Yes, yes. Well, you know, he uses, I'm not sure which of the three agreements he uses it in. I think it was don't take things personally. I'm pretty sure. Where he talks about, you know, when we always take things personally, it's selfish
it is really.
and self-centered, like it's all about me. And I found that one a little hard to swallow, but it's true. It's true. If I take something personally without asking any questions, and as you were saying, you know, going away with a grudge, going off with a grudge, and how it can ruin a relationship. It's just, I don't know, is it a lesson that you all have worked on, or is it just me? I mean, has anybody worked on that?
Yes, a lot,
Yeah.
Thank you.
a lot.
I have lots of stories about that, but
So do I.
yeah. Okay, great.
Sometimes.
Good to know we're not
But
alone.
you know what? Sometimes it was personal,
Yes, sometimes it is.
and that's kind of hard to, when it is personal, to say, well, I'm not going to take that personally, because it was very much personally. And, you know, and you were led to believe the person that told you those things always told you the truth, which is apparent.
Can you think of an example, a specific time where that was true?
Yeah, lots, I mean, I can think of a lot of examples of that, but that's my family history. But that's the way, that is the way, that's the way my mother chose to raise me, and that was her way of, now, looking at it, I think it was fear, so of not being in control, and I would be out of control if she didn't institute those values on me that, you know, I was worthless, and that's just the way it was. And so that was the way her fear, now looking at it from an adult, it was her fear-based control feature from her. It wasn't necessarily true, but I was raised to believe it was true, and many, many years I did believe it was true. So.
So I'm gonna say something now that's coming to me, because if I don't say it now, I'll forget it. Thank you, Joy. I remember being, and I thought about starting them here, talking circles. When I was in San Francisco, I joined this guy in San Francisco started what he called talking circles. But what I want to say about that is he went through experiences in his life that shut him down emotionally. And he put on a lot of weight, and there came this moment of clarity after experience and reflection and experience and reflection, you know, I mean, studying and looking carefully at self and reality. Here's what he said, and I think I have it in my book, Adventures in Resilience. He said, spirit takes our greatest weakness and turns it into our greatest strength that becomes our contribution to the world, that the world rewards us abundantly for. So think about your own experience. God takes our greatest weakness and turns it into our greatest strength. That is our contribution to the world. That's why we came here, right? And the world rewards us richly. It's cool. So if you think about, you know, what you considered, I'll give you an example and then we'll close unless someone else wants to share an example. I don't know how old I was, and I might have told this last time, but it's in the book also. At some age, 10, 9, something like that, I did something that my mother said, and she must have been with me or heard about it, said, you know, Sharon, you are too timid. And that was like what Don Miguel Ruiz said, someone shoots a dart that's a poison dart, and you take it into your system. So as a kid, I took that into my system. I'm timid. And I made it a fact for me. Timid, 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 till experience after experience where I walked away with regrets, how I should have said. Why didn't I do that? Until I could reflect on that and say, Mom, that's enough of that. That's enough of that. I'm not here to live in regret. That's not who God wants me to be.
No.
So, which meant when I went through grade school, I found a seat and sat behind the tallest, biggest boy in the class. In the back of the room.
Hiding.
So the teacher would not see me or call on me because I didn't want to make a mistake, and I never raised my hand. So you would wonder, well, how could you become a preacher then and you're up in front of people on Sunday mornings? Believe me, it's been a long road. You know what I'm saying? But God took my greatest weakness and turned it into an educated skill. So I'm going to ask you this week to reflect on that. Are you willing? Mm-hmm. Just reflect on how God has used you. Has taken something that was, you know, maybe a block or something difficult, and you worked on it and it has become a strength.
Well, I didn't become a preacher, but my early childhood was almost a mirror image of what you're saying. Mm-hmm. My aunts would say, isn't he cutie so shy, you know? Mm-hmm. And I'm hurting inside, and I didn't think it was cute at all, you know? Mm-hmm. Of course, they didn't know that. I didn't know how to tell them. So.
Right. We're so vulnerable.
Yeah, at that age, it took a while before I came out of that. So.
Yeah. And thank God we did, huh? Thank God we did. Okay, this is like the last call. When you transform your dream that is the way you see yourself in life. Magic just happens in your life. I would add this, when we do the work of developing the most intimate kind of relationship with God, our God, the God of our understanding, magic happens. Magic happens. Because our consciousness has totally been transformed. It has to have an intimate relationship with the one God. It has to transform our consciousness. Okay, going once. Arlene, I haven't heard from you either. I haven't heard from some of you today, and I'm lonesome to hear from you. No?
You know what, maybe like the last two times you had us all answer some question. Maybe we needed that to get
Maybe we
to
needed
get
that
us
today.
to, I don't know. It's just a thought, but we are all kind of in the same little funk today. I don't know what it is. It's good stuff, but.
I think everybody's just listening to everyone.
Yes,
It's absorbing
yes,
it.
yes.
It's not an easy book.
It's not, they're not easy agreements.
No.
Yeah,
Pretty demanding.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Or, yeah.
thank you, Denise. Going twice.
Well, I'll just second what she said. It's not an easy agreement, because it can feel so good to want to believe something and yet not have the stuff in front of me to make sure I know that's a fact. But it's what feels good, because I'm an alcoholic. I used to drink a lot because I liked what felt good. And that's how I got out of being so timid when I was younger. And I had to give it up because it wasn't too good for me physically.
Yeah.
And so when I sobered up, I went back to being shy for a couple of years before after being sober a length of time, I went back to being more outgoing just naturally. But it took a while. It didn't happen overnight.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But that's, this is a hero's journey we're on. Hero and heroine's journey. Our way show, I don't know of any icon, spiritual icon. Let's just say as Christians, Jesus is ours, right? Jesus is the maximized expression of the divine. He was not a wimp, right? Not a wimp. And so going 3 times.
Well, one of the things I'll just say quick.
Good.
Before you drop the X, is just when you talk about things like childhood and how you were raised, isn't it just prove the point of, parenting is such an important job, and to fill your kids up with all the good things about them and to really listen to them. And I remember as a teenager, I was the oldest of 7, and my folks were very, very Catholic, and I think it was sort of crammed down my throat. I resisted it. I went to parochial school, and so mass every day and on weekends, and I don't know, and it just, and they wanted nuns and priests out of some of their kids. But as a teenager, when I would just try to talk about things that were on my mind and in my heart, it was like, if it didn't go with their, I wasn't heard.
Yes.
And that's, I always knew my parents loved me, and it's better to have maybe parents that are too strict and overprotective than too lenient. Maybe, who knows, but I don't know. It's just such an important role to be a parent, and kids get it from plenty of other places too, just peers and other students can make them feel less than, and
Yeah.
you got an advantage in life, I think, if you had parents who really could make you feel good about yourself from the very beginning. Because my struggle has always been self-esteem, and I think it's because for a long time I didn't even know who I was, or am I this what they want me to be, or are my thoughts valid or aren't they? Because anyway, I'm blubbering.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Very well said. Very significant. The importance of parenting, because we've all been parented in one way or another, right?
Mhm.
And I think the thing that comes to me was all of that, because some of us had really good experiences growing up and some of us didn't, and some a mix. As parents today, to say, you know, I can always make amends. My message today, or the experience, strength, and hope is, the hope is I can be different today as a parent than I was then. I can be different today as a friend than I may have been then.
Yeah.
That's the good news. The good news is we can always change.
I just have, I don't know anything about Unity Church as Unity Church, just my experience has been here. How many, and I was just thinking, how many Unity churches have a complete congregation with children? I only know it from, you know, we're all talking about as a child, but I thought, wouldn't it have been nice to have this information as a child?
Yeah.
So I'm curious, is it a family type church in other parts of the country, or is it mainly an adult type church?
That's a good question, and I'm glad you asked it. It depends on the city.
Okay.
So there are many, many Unity churches. In fact, Unity Worldwide Ministries has been developing programs for kids from the get-go. In fact, when it was founded in the mid to late 1800s, one of the first publications was called We Wisdom, a book of wisdom for kids that was used in Sunday school. So many of our churches have large Sunday schools, you know, 25, 30, 50 or more kids. We just here happen to be in Sun City, where, you know, most of us
we're not
are beyond childbearing years. And so we might see grandkids here, but you know, we're not raising families right now unless we're grandparents.
Are there more in certain parts of the country than others? Like, are there more in western, or north, or eastern, or, I mean, is there geological more?
I know Lori here, I went to a Unity church in Denver and she said it was huge and they did a lot of volunteer and community outreach.
Oh, okay.
And all kinds, but
With
she
children.
said it was a huge congregation.
With children, they had.
With children, yeah. Yeah, I think it runs the gamut. Because I know churches all over the country that have a large youth and family ministry.
I just was curious because I say I knew nothing about Unity. I won't say luck because I guess there really isn't, but I fell into this. I mean, it was perfect. And I thought, why didn't I know this stuff a long time ago? It's like now I'm old and I'm finding out what I should have known 50 years ago.
It's okay.
And it's still better
It's
to
still
go.
happening.
That's right, yeah.
Amen. Yes,
I believe,
hang on.
I've been part of Unity churches in Seattle and Tacoma. They both had strong youth programs.
Okay.
And they would bring the kids up at the end of the service and make them feel even better than they did when they got there. And I always thought, these are really lucky kids.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
To be
That's what
introduced to that mindset.
I don't know if you online heard that, but Hans was talking about churches that he attended in Seattle and Tacoma, Washington, as having large youth and family ministries. And I see this in the Unity churches I've served and been in, where the children are brought up at the end of the service, and they're usually brought up with a very empowering, supportive, loving kind of song. And then sometimes they're interviewed up there, but and then the adult congregation blesses them. We love you. We bless you. We behold the Christ in you. So it just so happens that right here in Sun City, well, we could bring everyone over 40 up and sing "You Are the Light of the World."
Reverend Sharon, are you still there? Oh, my screen went dark. I went to a Daniel Namod concert down at Unity of Phoenix, and they have, it looks like a whole wing of classrooms. And I think they might even have day school for kids. So I think being in that area where they have a younger population, they do have a large population of kids as well. It was very encouraging to see that.
Yes, yes. Kids are great, aren't they? They're just youthing, they're youthing. Okay, I'm gonna close with prayer unless anyone has something else. We ready? So just take some deep breaths again. And remembering that words are powerful. So we know that the discussion here today has been beautiful and powerful. And so God, we just give thanks for the time that we each spend here today is fruitful and expands our horizons, deepens our relationship with the Spirit of God within us. We give thanks that this experience of discussing the beautiful thoughts, the challenging thoughts, guides us and leads us through the week so that we are living from and in a higher frequency of thought in full awareness. And for these blessings, Lord, we do give thanks and praise and say amen.
Amen.
Thank you all for being here. Have a great week. Palm Sunday, it's Palm Sunday. We're giving out Palm Sunday.